when we talk about the human element, you had a very, very revealing scoop about Zion Williamson and his return to the court. Coming off the bench for the first time. I didn't have he came off the bench his rookie year, but he wasn't penciled in as a starter. I wouldn't say right when he returned from injury then. But we want to talk more about Zion's, I guess you could say, return to the team. Didn't leave like we've seen him leave before, being in Portland and kind of off on the side doing his own thing. This time he seems to be pretty in lockstep with the rest of the organization. You want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the first time he came off the bench his rookie year years ago, that might have been one of those, hey, it's bubbling a little bit. Y'all hold up. Change it. Hey, every star's dealt with that, Paul Pierce, a few others. But I don't think you'll ever see excuse me, sorry about that. I don't think you'll ever see doctor's orders keep Zion Williamson off the court or away from the arena again. I even asked about that and never quite got a straightforward answer. What can you do? I had to ask Willie. It was on the record. It was in front of the cameras. There's only so much they were going to say about that, right?
Right.
But I don't think you'll see that anymore. I think he's dealing with the turmoil now well. Some of it is even when he got hurt in Cleveland last year, talking with team sources then, even Zion didn't know he was hurt till the next day. He just has a higher pain tolerance. And once it gets to that level, well, now it's at a level where he has to sit out 1, 2, 3 weeks. And thankfully this time he came back early. Right. He heard maybe some of the rumors that, hey, if they take a first decent offer, they actually getting some decent offers for me, they might let me go. So he came back, and this isn't from a team source, but it's from somebody close to the team that said Zion went, I believe, last week. Whatever day you're airing this, you can go back and edit it in. But last week he was hurt, but he went to the team and was like, hey, I want to be here. I want the statue. I want the legacy. I want all that. I know it's going to take a little bit more than what I've been given, but give me a plan. I think somebody, I forget who it was on social media, asked about, is he still under the restrictions? Well, some of the injury restrictions are going to happen because injuries happen. Right. But the times restriction, the minute restriction thing, not only the way they communicated to him that, hey, we want you to build up through the game and close strong. And even Zion mentioned this about him closing strong, crescendo there. When the beat drops, we want you to be that guy then. Whereas it used to be, he tried to do too much too early because he didn't even know if he was going to get to play in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So the way they communicated that to him and him coming and communicating, I want to be here. And they say, well, if you want to be here, you're going to have to be in the rotations like this, and this is our plan for you. When they gave it to him like that, he had to be humbled as a man and say, all right,
gotta respect it.
That's a better plan. You've said it better. You're being a better relationship with me. It's communicated. And if I go against that, I maybe don't deserve to be here, and y'all should cut my contract like it could. But,
yeah,
I don't think it reached that level. I think the relationship has gotten a lot better with the coaching staff and the people that have been over there over years. I mean, you got some guys here that were here for Stan Van Gundy. You know what I mean? Y'all can go back and look at them. I don't want to call them out.
Yeah, they've been around. I talked about them on the show a couple of times. Yeah.
But all those relationships have gotten a little better, from development to the staff for eating, training, performance. All of that sounds better. Borrego's been with Zion since Memphis opening night. I was there watching, and he's been there every game pretty much, warming up with Zion. I don't ever remember seeing Willie Green warm up with Zion pregame. I wasn't there for all the games, but I don't remember seeing it.
When you hear certain things behind the scenes, I think it's very important to also take into consideration it's never going to be a perfect marriage. And you're dealing with a person that's kind of already betrayed your trust often. So some things are going to be a little bit more scrutinized. And, there's some politics involved in this. I tell people all the time, man, it's a very political game. Like, a lot of times when you hear from certain people, and we've spoken about certain people before, like, you hear from certain people, it's to put a certain narrative out there where it's like, now you got to walk that back. And do you really want to play that game? And I think with Zion, a lot of the times, it's just people not having all of the information. It's some of it's being, a little bit, is him being a little bit over scrutinized. And some of it is just like, we don't have all the information, and being in the blind causes some frustration. One thing I will say is him coming back, he didn't look like a person that needed to ramp up. He looked like he was ready to go. He didn't look like a person that was out of shape. He looked like he was ready to go. And the question I would have for you is the toothpaste already out of the tube in this situation? Are they headed toward an inevitable breakup? And I say that also because it's like Zion, you being traded is probably the best case scenario is you stay here, you play, and everything works out. The second best scenario is you get traded somewhere. But the worst scenario is you just getting cut and losing money that you'll probably never recover. So do you think this is a situation where the toothpaste is already out of the tube, or is it something that's irreparable in your opinion?
No, I really do believe this relationship can be repaired. I think it's on the way to being repaired now. Not only for Zion's sake, he needs to repair the relationship just to boost his reputation, get a little bit more political goodwill, to sell shoes. You know what I mean? He needs to get out there and do some stuff like that.
I ain't gonna lie. I am shocked he still got that contract. I ain't gonna lie. He must have got a lifelong contract or something, because that's crazy. But go ahead.
It's all good. He got out of that Gina Ford nonsense. I was on that one too. If you want to add some of the stories earlier, that was way back. But to touch on the Gina Ford and how I grew up in the AAU and Duke, you could look at, and I don't want to use this term lightly, but I just don't have one on the top of my head right now. Is emotional maturity. Mm-hmm. Zion, I think, was a little bit stunted because look at where he played AAU ball. He stayed in South Carolina. High school ball, stayed in South Carolina. Didn't go one of the big IMGs, anything like that. Duke, they did pretty well and, sheltering a lot of stories for a lot of players over the years.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even on Zion. I mean, when you're keeping Mormon, and at 20 years older and all that with the recent draft, again, I'm not even going to play the names out there. They're going to have to
there's a few things that have come out as of late, but go ahead.
But Zion never had to deal with any of it himself. Mm-hmm. Even if you want to throw out a name you haven't heard of before, we'll throw it on the table. Lee Anderson. He hadn't been around in front of the cameras doing the protecting Zion like he was years ago either. Right. That's family, so I don't want to touch on family. It's just a way that Zion has been protected. And now becoming a father, he's wanting to speak for himself. I think that goes back to him addressing the team, trying to address some of these situations. And to touch on another one, why I think the relationships are being mended, Zion's learned to laugh at himself. I think that's why CJ was comfortable sharing those stories with, not going to say the names, podcasting the clips out there.
Yeah.
I think they found a way to laugh about it so that someone who was friendly and tried to mentor him in a way, because we all know CJ, he's president of the union. He's one of those old heads like that to let you know he's getting paid, but he's going to let you know how to do it the right way. Mm-hmm. He doesn't tell that story publicly if they don't have a relationship where they cannot laugh that off later.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, I always felt like Zion during the interviews when he actually does do press, I feel like he's one of the more revealing personalities. As far as he tends to answer questions kind of transparently when he's asked the direct question. Like
and it depends on who's asking the question.
We've seen depends on who's asking the question.
That's why I've tried to hit a few of the, some of the end of the moments, even going back to him talking about Biggie at the end of media day years ago. And checking with his mom. If you ask him the right things the right way and smile with him, he'll smile back at you. Yeah, but you got to give him that.
You got to feel like he's a guy that's and not to make excuses for him, because of course, he has brought a lot of the scrutiny on himself with some of his professionalism issues. But sometimes you feel like a pariah in the media, and especially local media, because there's a lot of voices out there. Me being one of them. So it's like, hey man, what's going on? That's why I always say, look, man, ultimately, if you plan on the court, everything else is going to take care of itself, because he's an undeniable talent. You may have people kind of trying to, grasp at straws. It's kind of like what you see with Ja Morant, like, oh, he hasn't developed, he hasn't this. But it's like the talent is still undeniable. You got people in the gym working on their game every single day, and this guy can just wake up and do this. So ultimately, you got to give him some credit. I hate to use that phrase, but you got to give him some credit for being as dominant as he is when he's available. Same for Ja Morant.